dig into 15 habits backed by science that can actually boost your intelligence.
Sounds right up our alley.
Yeah, we're dissecting this really interesting Medium article, and I know how much you love those aha moments.
Oh, absolutely. Always looking for those.
Well, this deep dive is going to deliver a whole bunch of them, and don't worry, no information overload here.
Promise.
Promise.
Yeah.
Okay, so the article's main idea is pretty intriguing. It says, intelligence isn't fixed.
Okay, I've heard that before, but how so?
It's more like a muscle you can train.
Interesting.
Yeah, and some of the ways to do that are not what you'd expect, like just spending time in nature.
Really? Okay, I'm definitely curious about that. We'll have to get to that one.
We'll get to that one, don't worry.
But what I find really cool about this article is it doesn't just list these habits.
Right.
It actually explains why they work.
Oh, nice.
Like it connects them to how your brain actually functions.
So it's not just what to do, but like the how and the why it impacts your brain power.
Exactly. So we're not just memorizing tips, we're understanding the science behind them.
Love it. Okay, so let's dive into a few. One that really stood out to me was question everything.
Question everything, huh?
Yeah, like is this article suggesting we become like rebellious masterminds or something?
Well, not exactly rebellious,
Yes.
but it's definitely all about critical thinking.
Makes sense.
When you question things, you force your brain to analyze information, but from different angles.
Right. You're not just accepting things at face value.
Exactly. And, the article even quotes Einstein on this. The important thing is not to stop questioning.
Of course they do, right?
But here's the really interesting part. That curiosity, it triggers dopamine release.
Wait, so that feel-good chemical that's linked to motivation.
The one and only. So basically being inquisitive makes learning more enjoyable.
And probably makes things stick better too, right?
You got it.
Okay, I'm sold on questioning everything. Yeah. What about this whole learning a new language thing? I've always been so impressed by people who can switch between languages so easily.
It's definitely impressive.
It seems like some kind of superpower.
It is a serious workout for your brain, let me tell you that.
I bet.
Imagine your brain constantly translating on the fly, like grammar, words, everything.
Right, like on the spot.
That strengthens your ability to focus and juggle multiple tasks. And research has linked that to higher intelligence. But what's really remarkable is that language learning actually reshapes your brain structure.
Really?
Yeah, it's like building new pathways. And get this, it can even help delay age-related cognitive decline.
Hold on. You're saying learning a new language is like giving my brain a youthful makeover?
You could say that.
I'm signing up for that class right now. Speaking of brain workouts, let's talk about reading challenging material.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I'll admit, sometimes I just want to curl up with a light novel.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
We all need those moments.
But I get the point about pushing yourself to read complex texts, you know.
It's incredibly rewarding. Think of it like building cognitive endurance.
Cognitive endurance.
Yeah, you're training your brain to actually grapple with difficult concepts. And you're strengthening your comprehension.
So it's like mental stamina for those tough intellectual challenges.
Exactly.
So it's not just about being a bookworm, it's about tackling those really brain-bending texts that make you think.
You got it.
But then what about actually using all that knowledge?
Yes, the application part.
Right. The article stresses applying what you learn.
Absolutely crucial.
I mean, makes sense, but why?
It uses this great analogy. It's like studying a sport but never actually playing.
Okay, I can see that.
You can learn all the rules, all the techniques, but true mastery comes from actually putting it into practice.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between reading about cooking and actually getting in the kitchen and trying a recipe.
Exactly.
All right, but this next one really threw me for a loop. Exercise.
Oh, how so?
Well, I knew it was good for my body, but how does that boost intelligence?
This is where it gets fascinating.
Okay.
Exercise improves blood flow to your brain.
Okay, so more oxygen and nutrients, right?
Both are good stuff. And studies have shown that regular physical activity can lead to new brain cell growth.
Wait, new brain cell growth.
New brain cell growth.
Yeah.
Particularly in the hippocampus, which is crucial for memory and learning.
Okay, I am definitely motivated to hit the gym now. Speaking of fueling the brain, the article also talks about nutrition.
Of course. Can't forget about that.
Your brain's like an energy hog, right?
It needs a constant supply of glucose.
So what should we be eating for that?
Whole grains are a great choice. They keep your blood sugar stable, provide that fuel.
Okay, so whole grain's good. What about all the sugary stuff?
Well, too much sugar and processed food can lead to energy crashes, totally derail your focus.
So basically what we eat impacts our brain power.
It's all connected. And you know what's really interesting? There's emerging research showing a connection between a healthy gut microbiome and how well your brain functions.
The gut microbiome.
Yes. It's a whole new frontier in brain health. All right, let's be honest, though. There's one thing we all need more of.
Tell me about it. Sleep.
Sleep. It's absolutely essential. It's when your brain consolidates memories, clears out toxins, processes all that information you've taken in.
So basically like a nightly reset for your brain.
Exactly. And during certain sleep stages, especially REM and deep sleep, some really amazing things happen.
Like what?
Like synaptic homeostasis.
Synaptic homeostasis.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to write that one down.
It's basically strengthening and pruning those neural connections to make learning more efficient.
Interesting. But how does setting goals tie into boosting intelligence?
Yeah.
The article mentions SMART goals.
SMART, right.
Is that like a special type of goal?
It's an acronym, stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Oh, okay. So by setting goals with those characteristics, you're basically creating a structured approach to learning.
Exactly. For example, let's say you're learning a new coding language.
Right.
A specific goal would be learn the basics of Python.
Okay.
Measurable could be complete 3 online modules per week. Achievable means setting realistic targets.
Right.
Relevant means aligning it with your broader goals. And time-bound is setting a deadline. Like, be able to build a basic website within 3 months.
So it's not just about setting any goal. It's about being really strategic and intentional.
Exactly. And that clarity can make it much easier to actually develop your cognitive abilities.
This is all so insightful. I'm already thinking about which of these habits I can start incorporating.
That's great.
But we've only scratched the surface.
There's more.
Oh yeah, there are still some fascinating habits to unpack. All this talk about brain power has me wondering if there are like any more unexpected habits on the list.
Well, get ready for this one.
Okay.
It might seem a little counterintuitive.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Spending time in nature.
Really? I mean, I love being outdoors, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it as a brain-boosting activity. What's the science behind that?
It's pretty amazing how restorative nature can be. Research shows that just being in natural environments can lower your cortisol levels.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
One and only. One that can really mess with your brain's ability to focus.
To learn to do pretty much anything.
Exactly. Plus, think about all the sensory input you get from nature.
The sights, the sounds, the smell.
All of it. It's stimulating, but in a good way.
So it's like sparking curiosity and enhancing that mental flexibility we were talking about earlier.
You got it.
You know, now that you mention it, whenever I'm feeling stressed or stuck on a problem, going for a walk in the park always helps.
See?
Clears my head. Speaking of calming our minds, meditation is next on the list.
Yes. Meditation.
I've heard a lot about the benefits. But does it actually have a measurable impact on intelligence?
Meditation's become really popular. And for good reason. It's not just about relaxation.
Right.
There's a growing body of scientific evidence showing that it can actually increase gray matter density in certain areas of the brain.
What areas?
Areas associated with learning, memory, and even emotional regulation.
Wow. So by calming our minds, we're actually physically changing our brains.
That's incredible what a little bit of mindfulness can do.
That's amazing. What about those brain training games and puzzles you see advertised everywhere? Do those actually help?
I mean, like the apps and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Are those legit or just a fun way to pass the time?
Engaging in those kinds of mental exercises like puzzles, brain games, memory challenges, they can definitely strengthen cognitive skills.
Like memory, attention, processing speed.
Exactly.
So it's like a workout for your brain.
It is. These activities promote what's called neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, what is that?
It's basically your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections.
Interesting.
So the more you challenge your brain, the better it gets at adapting to learning and solving problems.
So you got to keep pushing it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about exercise for the brain, but what about creativity?
Oh, that's a good one.
Is that something we can actually train our brains to be better at?
Yeah.
The article talks about doing artistic activities.
Right, because things like painting, drawing, writing, playing music, they can all stimulate creativity and actually enhance your emotional intelligence.
I like that. Emotional intelligence is so important.
It is. When you're engaged in art, you're exercising what's called divergent thinking, which is your ability to generate new ideas.
To come up with unique solutions Think outside the box.
Exactly. And don't forget, art involves focus, memory, decision-making.
All those things contribute to cognitive growth.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how all these different things, from physical exercise to being creative, can all work together to make us more intelligent.
It's all connected.
And, it seems like connecting with others could play a role too. We learn so much from interacting with people. Does the article talk about that at all?
It absolutely does. The article really emphasizes the importance of engaging in those meaningful conversations.
Right, because when you're having those thought-provoking discussions, you're exposed to new ideas,
New insights, different perspectives.
which can boost our cognitive flexibility.
For sure.
And, don't underestimate the power of just listening.
Oh, absolutely.
Hearing other people's experiences, their beliefs, can broaden your horizons, improve your ability to empathize.
To see things from multiple perspectives.
Like adding new pieces to the puzzle, right?
Exactly.
And, all those diverse perspectives help us become more well-rounded thinkers.
For sure. They do.
Out of all the habits we've discussed so far, the one that really resonates with me is aiming to be smarter than yesterday.
I like that one a lot too.
It's such a simple idea, but it's so powerful.
It is. It's all about fostering a growth mindset. It encourages you to embrace challenges.
To view learning as a continuous journey.
Exactly. When you strive for daily improvement, you develop resilience, adaptability, a more proactive attitude towards personal growth. This habit really captures the essence of lifelong learning.
I love that. It's a constant reminder that our intelligence isn't fixed. We can always learn and grow and evolve.
Exactly. And there's always something new to discover.
But there's one last habit we need to cover.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to hear what it is. It sounds like it could tie everything together.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back, ready to uncover that final habit for boosting intelligence.
This is it, the grand finale.
This deep dive has been packed with so many insights already.
From the power of questioning to spending time in nature, it's been quite a journey.
It feels like we've explored a whole spectrum of approaches. So what's this last piece of the puzzle, the one that's going to tie everything together?
Well, we've talked a lot about the external actions, right?
Yeah, the things we can do to sharpen our minds.
But this last one is more about turning that focus inward.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's about regularly assessing yourself.
Self-assessment. That sounds incredibly important, but what does that actually look like in practice?
It's about taking the time to honestly reflect on your strengths and your weaknesses.
To really look at your progress and the challenges you're facing.
Exactly. And while feedback from others can be helpful, it's really crucial to develop that internal sense of self-awareness.
So asking yourself the tough questions.
The tough questions, like what's working well for me?
What areas could use some improvement?
Right. Or are there any habits or beliefs that might be holding me back?
So it's like taking inventory of where you're at, mentally and intellectually. Not just going through the motions, but really understanding how these habits are impacting you personally.
You got it. This kind of self-reflection encourages adaptability, and it improves your decision-making, helps you identify areas where you might need to adjust your approach or seek out new knowledge.
And isn't that a key part of personal intelligence?
Exactly. Understanding yourself and how you learn best.
This self-assessment piece really brings it full circle. It helps us evaluate how we're actually implementing these habits and make adjustments to, really maximize our growth.
It's like having a personal coach, but for your brain.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership of your own development, becoming a more conscious and intentional learner. And you know what? When you combine that self-awareness with all the other habits we've discussed, the physical activity, the mental stimulation, the social connection, it creates this really powerful synergy.
It's like all the pieces working together.
This deep dive has been a total revelation. We've explored 15 science-backed habits that can genuinely transform our cognitive abilities. And it's just how we approach learning in general.
And it's a holistic approach. It's everything. Our physical health, our emotional well-being.
I think we covered it all.
It's been a fascinating journey through the world of intelligence. And you know what's most exciting? These habits are accessible to everyone.
I love that. It's not about having some innate genius. It's about making conscious choices to nurture our minds, to unlock our potential.
Exactly.
I'm walking away from this feeling really inspired to put these habits into action. But I know our listeners are probably feeling a little overwhelmed right now. So, as a final thought, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start incorporating these habits into their lives?
Don't try to do everything at once.
Yes.
I'd encourage everyone to just take a moment, reflect. Which of these habits resonated most with you? Which one sparked the most excitement or curiosity? Choose just one and commit to incorporating it, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Start small and build from there.
Exactly.
I love that. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress. And for those who want to dive deeper into the full list of 15 habits and the science behind them, we'll provide a link to the Medium article in our show notes. Thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of intelligence. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep challenging yourselves. Until next time, happy exploring.